And, we're not going to take any more of his lame excuses. This is a challenge. This is a challenge to Popeye 1, Robert Clausen, Bob. We know him by a lot of names besides Loser. Is to go on camera. It's a serious challenge. Go on camera and show us what you look like these days. Never mind in the past introducing a picture of you in the Navy. That was a long time ago. I'm being fair about this. Robert likes to point out what he calls my faults, but let's take a good gander at him. He will never go on camera. That's not going to happen. But surprise us. Maybe you held out very well through the years. I don't know. I'm doubting it, or else you'd go on camera. See, Robert has a lot to hide. Besides his mobility issues.
I go in market.
Huh?
I go market early.
Oh, you going to go? Hold on.
Sakit.
Sorry about that. Anything else we need? I don't know. It's not like we have a big choice in the markets here. Certain for vegetables, always see vegetables. You just said it, always have vegetables. Always vegetables. I'm trying to think what else we need. Okay. But yeah, let's put this challenge out to Robert Clausen, Bob, who inherited his mother's house. He never really owned a house on his own. And that's one thing that Bob can't say about me. I've had 3 houses, Bob. 3. And I didn't inherit any one of them. Nope. I bought them. Because I'm broke, right? Bob, I don't ever hear you having people coming over to give you manicures and pedicures, haircuts, whatever. Because you're so goddamn cutty put that you would never do that. You know where I think that if you had some exciting shit going on in your life, you talk about it. He doesn't, because there's really nothing going on in his life. His biggest excitement is getting on YouTube and just throwing mud pies. Is it a shield for something? Again, you ever, the concept of a clown or somebody who wears a mask, like the jester. You could go to a Halloween. This is very close to heart to Popeye, and doing a comparative analogy of it, actually, that you could be outward and outgoing and let it all hang out when you wear a mask to hide the truth. That's why there are people, for example, they go to a masquerade party or a Halloween party and they got a mask on. Although, without the mask, they were very demure. They were not very outspoken at all. But when you wear that mask and it hides your face, and they can't see your face, and they can't see your eyes, you could be anybody that you want to be. Outgoing, outspoken. But you see, YouTube is his mask. This is the masquerade of Robert Clausen. By not going on camera, he could shoot his mouth off whenever he wants, figuring nobody's going to know what I look like. Whether he has teeth in his mouth or not, or how gnarly, I love that word, gnarly, his teeth are. He won't show it, but he's quick to point out fault with other people that may not have that fault. Again, we always talk about the teeth issue. always saying for me to see a dentist. Well, you know what, Robert, I have. All the time. I even get my teeth cleaned. My teeth are capped. That wasn't cheap, but cheap for the Philippines. Perhaps you could come to the, if you so petty on your money, perhaps you could get off your ass and finally come to the Philippines after 45 years instead of pretending that the Philippines is such an integral part of your life and living vicariously through me and other people, and actually get on a plane, enjoy yourself, get laid, hire a whore like you did, like the one you married and divorced you, and go and see a dentist. They're cheap out here, Robert. Nico, that applies to you too. Why haven't you done that? But he won't talk about Nico's teeth, his adopted son. He won't do that. He don't want to hurt his feelings. Very sad. There ain't nothing wrong with my teeth. How many pesos later, let me tell you that. I could definitely tell you there's nothing wrong with my teeth at all. That's why you spend your money, you don't be cheap. I mean, you try to take care of other health issues, right? And you get a mobility scooter because you can't walk good, right? You know, you had some, you were proactive in that, weren't you? Well, why can't you, if you have no teeth or gnarly looking teeth, why don't you go off and see a dentist? But he's so cutty put that he won't spend the money on a damn dentist. Some people are just like that. They'll go to their grave with their money. And what's the money for? It's not like he has some chick or wife that he's gonna inherit his money. Well, of course, the best thing he could only do is give it to his daughter. That would be proper, but why be so cutty put? Especially when it comes to like teeth in your mouth, and you need teeth, to chew your food. Unless the guy is like resorted to eating baby food. Huh? The hell do we know? So the challenge is out to Robert Clausen, otherwise known as Popeye One, who is one of the leading losers on YouTube, who professes all kinds of things, his intellect, his life experiences, which actually goes back to Subic Bay. That was a highlight of his life. That was a highlight. Yeah, it's okay to look back. I look back on some of the shit I've done in my life. Sure, I do that all the time. In retrospect, it's the purpose of doing so is to see where you can make improvements in your life and make your life a lot better, or learn from mistakes from the past or positive things you've done that you could build up on. That's a good thing to do. But to be able to just, be dependent and living your life based on your past experiences, I mean, like being in the Navy, and everything he talks about has to do with Subic Bay. The idiot goes as far as showing these pictures of all the whores back in those days when he clipped some pictures, and he was proud of it. The days, my friend, I thought they'd never end. We'd sing and dance, get my dick sucked under the table, as he talked about. Dude, I've had some good times in the past myself. But I'm not going to live on those memories, man, because I'm alive now. I make things happen right now. I'm not going to be dependent on the good old days. Well, why not the good current days? Why would he be avoiding something like that? I don't get it. Well, I do get it, I think. Because if he really had something going on in his life at his current age, a couple of things. He wouldn't be afraid to go on camera. You would hear him doing stories about like I said, went out with Bob, Linda, and Jane or something, and went out to have a great breakfast, a great lunch together. I met up with some other people and showed people on camera that he actually does have a life other than his comfortable chair and his bottle of gin and his pack of Camels. I can't imagine his teeth. You see, when people have something to hide, they will never come on camera at all. I'm always on camera. I'm not always doing like a radio cast. I come on camera. But when you have something to hide, that's when you don't go on camera. And there's various reasons why they do that. Because they want to be able to dish out the insults of the people without anybody seeing what they look like. In case they just happen to come across another YouTuber that don't like him, he doesn't want to be seen on camera. He doesn't want anybody to know what he currently looks like. But there's always a story behind that. I'm not afraid of showing my age. I'm not afraid of showing my face. It's what you got. It's all yours. Don't hide who you are, especially if you're still looking pretty damn good for your age. That's even more reason to go on camera, really. But when you got something to hide, like Robert Clausen, you're not going to go on camera. But he's sure quicker than a jackrabbit, to put out the insults on me, or whoever he has in his sights at the time. But when you're living and breathing one person, you put your sights on one person, and instead of going out of the house, even on his scooter, what he chooses to do is to sit home all day. What is going to be my next skit on him? There's one coming up tomorrow. Man, what does that say? Mazda, what does that say? Let's see. It says, you know why Popeye doesn't put himself on there like you do, Frank? Because there's absolutely nothing to show. Well, there is something to show with Mazda, but he doesn't want to show it. Because he doesn't want anybody to see what he looks like. That's why people, they laugh at Popeye, and they think they're laughing with him. They're laughing at him, because if any one of my viewers, or any one of his viewers, has any common sense at all, you're going to know one thing. That if you got nothing to hide, then you're going to show yourself. But apparently he does. And that's why this thing is so sad. Somebody gets to a point in life where they can sure dish it out, but they can't take it. Oh, no. They can't take it. But they sure as hell like dishing it out. That's like in Robert's case. No, he will never go on camera, even with a challenge. He will never go on camera. Because you see, I've seen older pictures of him, more youthful days, and he wasn't looking real good back then, so I have no reason to think that he's going to look any better modern day. I have absolutely no reason to believe that. Hold on a second. So that's my challenge for Robert. Put your sad ass on camera. Let's take a good look at your face. Let's take a good look at your teeth, sir. Before you start pointing your arthritic fingers to me. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. But I gotta tell you something, man. If I ever thought that my life, and he's in his 60s, if I ever thought that my life was going to be like that, I would do a Robin Williams. See, Robin Williams, you know, he did something he felt he had to do, because I think that Robin Williams had some kind of a life-threatening future, or Alzheimer's to come, or something. And he decided that he didn't want to suffer. There's a lot more to Robin Williams' story that he did not want to experience because of all this depression and everything else. He just couldn't handle life. Or he knew that he had a medical condition of some sort that was going to be very debilitating, could also possibly kill him. He did not want to wait till that happened. He did not want to be a burden to his family. He didn't want to experience whatever it was that he anticipated that he was getting or has. But he did something. I could not see myself, and I just passed beyond my 60s, and I have nothing to hide. And I've done pretty well for myself, I think, health-wise so far. I've been pretty fortunate. My looks, well, I'm always having people saying that I look a lot younger than my age, than my actual age. I've had those compliments from various people through the years. I come on camera a lot. Well, not every day, but I come on camera. People know what I look like. I have nothing to hide. Zero. But I think he's pulling a Robin Williams, I don't know, that he knows something about himself that we don't know. Or his physical appearances would probably send people into a tailspin, and he doesn't want to show that on camera. But how can you be in your 60s? How could you be in your 60? Let's see what your message was. Okay. How could you be in your 60s and not try to do something, anything, make a trip to another state and just stay on Jambalaya Drive in the house that he inherited, not bought, but inherited? Why would you do that? I mean, why does he not go out, if he even doesn't want to put himself on camera, why does he not go out, and if you don't want to go to the Philippines, because you're either too cutty-putty, you're afraid somebody's going to kick your ass, why don't you at least go to another state to vacation, get out of Florida, and do something with your life? Besides going to an occasional casino and pretending that you're buddies with Hulk Hogan. That was a good one. Yeah. Hulk Hogan would say, "Get away from me, parasite." Rubbing elbows with Hulk Hogan. That's a good one. That's a good one. But why don't you show us those pictures of you with the famous Hulk Hogan? Why don't you do that? So we can believe something that you say, if you don't even want to come on camera. Why is it that Robert doesn't go anywhere? Pardon me, folks, I'm just preparing my healthy breakfast. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Ouch, that is hot. Ooh. Put your money where your mouth is, Robert Clausen. That's what I say. Put your money where your mouth is. Instead of talking the talk, do the walk. We dare you, as a YouTube community, and I'm daring you, to put yourself out there. Then we can make a judgment on you about your teeth, about your appearances. I mean, do you even have hair? You could be bald as a fucking cue ball for the fuck I know. So it's really easy for Robert to, ooh, that almost didn't work there. Almost dropped this damn thing. Hold on. Don't want to do that. I almost dropped my hot bowl of oatmeal here. That would have been a disaster because it would have went in my feet. And that would have burned. So that's my challenge. I'm putting it out there. Robert, you got a lot to say about me and a lot to say about other people. But let us now be the judge. Here come the judge. Here come the judge. Let us now be the judge, sir. Get a life, dude. For your own sake. I mean, I don't care really what you do with your life. Don't affect me one way or the other. But do it for yourself. Do you eat a breakfast like this, Poops? I don't think so. You probably have tons of fucking cholesterol, bacon, fats. You know what's in this oatmeal? I got a package of various natural seeds. Includes pumpkin seeds, cashew, you name it. I got some berries in here. This is what you call rolled oats. Very healthy. What led you health-wise in your position right now? Where you're immobile to a point? Did something happen to you in the pox department? Did you trip or fall on that pile of condoms you always talk about? As Ricky said to Lucy, what happened? What happened? So what did happen, Robert? Show us. Again, I'm going to push this. That's my challenge to you, Robert. What do you have to say about that? Of course, you'll have something to say about it. Like, I don't have to show myself. Well, the question still comes down to why. You want to be a coward like your master or your masturbator, Alo Diventa? See, when you got something to hide, you'll never come on camera. And I think this guy's got a lot to hide. Teeth, hair, wrinkles. After shooting his mouth off all these years and being the biggest critic on YouTube of anybody, let's take a look at him and let's make our own judgment. What do you think, Robert? Well, you see, Donovan, I do go on camera. There's a difference between me and this guy. I do come on camera. I'm not right now, but this guy never goes on camera. He's quick to point out everybody's faults. But you see, he wouldn't dare go on camera because, you know, like the policeman said on the street during an accident, come on, folks, go back to your homes, nothing to see, nothing to see. Well, actually, I think there'll be a lot to see. But he didn't want to show it. In a way, I kind of pity Popeye. That if his life is really like that, he's in his 60s, you know, he makes a combination of pensions. And what is he doing with his life? Creating skits about me. I call that envy. You call it whatever you want. I call that envy. I'm never afraid to show myself for who I am. Apparently he has a problem with that. Well, the obvious one is he don't want anybody to come over and kick his ass. Like I said, if he was ever in the Philippines, he'd have a problem. That's why he don't go here. And he won't. Number one, he didn't want to spend the money. Number two, he's partially immobile. Three, enemies. And he knows that there's probably no purpose to coming to the Philippines because if it's to get a woman, I don't know if the money's right. I suppose there's some Filipino out there that might take him on for a night. Reluctantly, but money speaks, you know. So before you drop dead, Robert, when you're on that steel slab, before stainless steel, why don't you make some things happen in your life? Go out and get laid. Maybe you won't be so crabby. Did you ever think about that? When it comes to you, I definitely thought about that. How could somebody be really happy in their life if they have no life? They haven't been laid in how many decades? They're sitting around putting on hate shows and doing little video skits on people. Look, the truth is you gotta have a lot of time on your hands to do that kind of shit. Reddy admitted he's a soap opera freak and he likes to go to bingo. It's not much of a life. I got more excitement around here just doing chores compared to your life. I mean, comparatively, even when I'm not doing much, I'm doing a whole lot more than he does. As you realize, it takes a little while to put one of these little skits together. Editing, sound, all that shit. Looking for files, which he keeps on me. He's like my bookkeeper. He's got every show I've ever put on here. He spends the time saving this stuff in his files. He's got a file box, probably up to the ceiling, in SD cards or something, or just on his memory. Why does somebody do that? I mean, it's clear as a bell. How could you have a life if that's what you do? So Popeye can say anything in the world he wants about me. Unproven, but if it sounds good, he'll say it. He labels me as a child predator. All he talks about was a civil lawsuit in Hawaii. Is that all you got? It was a civil lawsuit, not criminal. And nobody harmed any children. Secondly, although I'm retired, it doesn't mean I'm retired from life. Even if it's only going to Cebu or somewhere. Whatever. Get out of your comfort zone and get off that fucking chair. Get away from your goddamn cell phone or laptop. Go out and experience life before you croak. Before you have that toe tag on you, Robert Clausen. Let's see. Oh, is he doing a simulcast right now? Well, we'll get down to that. Oh, I've done that a few times. I don't make a career out of it. Where he runs my show, does a simulcast, to try to find fault, but usually he finds that I'm not saying anything on my show that we don't already know what he does. In a way, it's kind of an autobiography of himself to hear some of the shit that he's done from his comfortable little chair with his bottle of gin and his pack of Camels and his mobility scooter. To play my shows, and I'm not sure what that's trying to prove. Especially when I'm pretty much telling people like it is what this guy's life is all about. Isn't that kind of embarrassing to him to simulcast my show? Oh, dude, I don't care about the numbers. The truth shall set you free, Robert Clausen. But you've been in your own prison for how many years now? So sad. And I always do shows about how human life is precious, and people are just wasting their time doing the things that he does on a daily basis, you'd have to be hillbilly stupid to think that somebody has a resemblance of a life if they got that much time to do skits and editing and shows all the time and simulcasting all the time your shows. It says a whole lot about this guy. If you can't figure it out as my listening audience, and if his listening audience can't figure it out, then they probably never will. But it's very clear to me that he needs a lot more to go on in his life to actually have a life. And to die alone, I mean, having a loving partner, a wife, he's never going to have that. He's never going to have that. So he can talk all the shit he wants about me, but the fact is he is not living nothing whatsoever. So clear to say that his life is quite uneventful. And this is what I'm surprised his daughter never came up to him and said, "Dad, why do you do this? I've heard you talking here. Why are you so hateful?" Does she agree with the stuff that he does? Does she give her stamp of approval of him being so hateful and maybe never question him? "Dad, why are you so hateful? I hear you talking about YouTubers on there, and you say some really horrible things." Has his daughter, or does she even know what he does on YouTube? Has she ever listened to his shows? That's a good question. Good question. Imagine discovering how absolutely hateful your father is. I'll just tell you what, there's a lot of people like Aloe and other people that probably do their shows while their significant other is in the other room, or they're not home, or they go to their man cave to do this shit. And their partner, such as even Roberto, doesn't even know what the hell you're doing, unless they got curious and decided to listen to your YouTube show, and then it all comes out. It's probably ruined many marriages out there too. I wouldn't be surprised. The double personality situation. Okay. Challenge is on. Before you point your accusative finger to me or anybody, why don't you put yourself on camera, Robert? Prove us all wrong. Please do that. Prove us all. Prove me wrong. Show us your teeth. Show us your face. But you won't do that. Point made. Point made. Now, I'll also say that until you could actually do that, shut the fuck up. If you got something that bad to hide, you have no authority whatsoever to look down on people just, living their life. That people actually have a life and they have a significant other than a daughter or something like that. Or maybe you have a good neighbor to talk to. I don't know. But you got to have something. I mean, look, you're getting older. The time clock is ticking. And you would think that maybe he would figure it's time to go out there, at least get laid. I mean, he could do that much or try. I don't think he'd probably be very successful. That's why it's never happened. I don't think he could pay a whore these days to be with him. Because I've seen his old pictures, and if you go through a little fiction, a little time machine, like they do with these movie stars, what they look like then and what they look like now. They do that with dead bodies. Or they do it, I've seen them do that with drug addicts, meth users, where they showed them how they looked before they got into meth, and then they show current pictures of them when they've been on meth for quite a while. There's quite a contrast. So is this what happened to him? Is that why, besides the cowardice thing, is that why he doesn't go on camera? Oh, he can say whatever he wants about me. It's nothing new. It's just another day with Robert. But then he runs out of material. And it's the same rehash of the same fucking hash he's been doing for 8 years. Again, that's pretty goddamn sad. When you have absolutely nothing to look forward to, except sitting on your comfortable chair, again with your pack of Camels and your bottle of gin, and with your rotting or lack of teeth, and try to poke people to get a reaction. Is that what it's all about? Really, Robert? God, I can only imagine what you look like, because I know what you looked like in the past. If I would get the time machine going and go fast forward, I have a reasonably good idea what you look like now. And to a certain point, I think I understand why you don't go on camera, besides the coward effect. There's protection behind a constant dark screen, where you won't expose yourself in what your real life is really like. Except to occasionally come on, I went to a casino. Or I went to bingo. That's what you know what I call that? I call that giving up on life. That's what I call it. No grand entrance into the abyss when he dies. I mean, no hoopla, nothing. You got to be known for something. I mean, make some kind of accomplishment in your life. Anything. Anything. And remember, this is the guy that was making fun of me because I worked for the Parks Department. I'm always going to talk about that because I'll tell you why. Because he worked for the Parks Department. And he was quick to point out, oh, gee, you went to college and you didn't exactly get into the profession that you spent time going to college for. But it wasn't just photography. But nevertheless, like I said, shit changes, things happen. And maybe you're not going to go in that direction because geographically where you lived, maybe it was not really conducive to try to go into that profession. That's part of it for me.
Oh, excuse me, guys.
But needless to say, I think that this man has a whole lot to hide, and he doesn't have the ability to make changes in his life, or he just doesn't want to. But sometimes you become so complacent in your life that you just say, oh, fuck it all. I'm going to live and die like everybody else does. But in his case, he chooses to make little Popeye skits. Now, if that ain't sad, I don't know what else to say. I think that's extremely sad. He'll talk about people's so-called lack of accomplishments. I'd like to know, and I think a lot of viewers like to know, what has his accomplishments been? All right, he was in the Navy. He swabbed decks, became a security guard. Then he went to work for the Parks Department. And I have nothing against the Parks Department. I worked there. It was a good civil service job if you could get one. And actually, it was actually something that people looked forward to getting, was a civil service type of job. Not a bad gig, really, if you can get one. Excuse me, I gotta take my vitamins here. Slowly, I don't want to choke on a damn shit. Damn, that's a lot. Okay. I pretty much painted a very grim picture of this guy. And some might find it hard to believe what they're hearing, but no, somebody is actually living that kind of life as we speak. And Mr. Robert Clausen on Jambalaya Drive over in Florida, that's the life he's living. But he's real quick to put on accusative, defaming, demoralizing. In other words, he has no moral compass at all. To put shows on to try to paint a false image of another individual. And all the things he talks about is exactly the things that he don't have. Okay. Well, he's trying to make up for what he doesn't have. And he's basically projecting. This guy doesn't live the life, he doesn't do nothing with his life, or he has no good teeth, or he'll always find something. But isn't it really a reflection of himself, what he's doing? It's an autobiography. Every time he does a show, it's an autobiography of his own life. And by simulcasting my show, he's actually embarrassing himself. Because people are getting to know who he is. And if they're new to his show, I think it's an embarrassing situation to simulcast my show on there. Well, I'm pointing out a lot of things about this guy that newbies would come in there and say, really, is this guy's life that, lifeless? Does he live a life of, redundancy? Well, he just does things over and over again, expecting to get some results out of it, and he just doesn't achieve it. Well, I guess that's what's going on. The best I could put together. But then again, I'm not living his life, and I would never want to live his life. If his life is that sad, then I don't know, people don't know whether to feel sorry for the guy or just be disgusted with him and how he treats life, which is so goddamn precious, and just kind of puts his life to the side and is so much of a stalker and concentrate all his energy on people like myself. Yeah, that is sad. That is sad. What more could you say? He's demonstrated that his life has gone nowhere. And just to rest on the laurels of the fact, oh, yeah, I was in the Navy, Subic Bay, got laid back in the day. But you see, that was back in the day, dude. This is contemporary times. So before you wind up on that steel slab, sir, why don't you go out with some glory? You like glory, right? You always talk about glory of the armed services, of this and that. Well, give yourself some glory, or find a glory hole or something, or whatever. Stick it in there. Do something with that appenditure, if you still have one. I know you ain't got no balls, but maybe you still have a pecker. I don't know, cut open a watermelon or something. Do something with that pecker, if you can still use it. But don't just be stagnant in your life like that. What a waste. I mean, not that I care. Excuse me. Not that I care. Come on, out of there, Jenny. Come on, out. Come on. Shouldn't be in here. Come on, go. Thank you. All right. Try being kind to somebody from what you love. Maybe your God will, to be some redemption. Maybe your God will say, all right, we feel sorry for this schmuck. We'll bring him to a higher place. Get some kind of redemption or something. I don't know. Since he's so religious, of course, and he follows all the gospel rules of thou shalt not do this and thou shalt not do that, and he does all of that. That's a hypocrite. That is a bona fide hypocrite. If you can't walk the walk, don't do the talk.
And I guess that will be my show for this morning. Robert, I don't know what to say as far as my advice on how to change your life at this age, but I think you pretty much hit the bottom of the barrel. And whether you could climb out of that barrel or not, I'm not sure really that could happen. But at least try to do something good for yourself. I'm sure there's a lot of whores in Florida. Just, don't be a cutty, put out the money. Unless you can't perform, and that's the problem. And I have a good idea that might actually be what's going on. Or else he'd be digging into his piggy bank and buying all the whores he can in Florida. I'm sure there's quite a few. I'm reasonably sure. So before you point that arthritic finger to me, my good man, take a good look at yourself and take a good look at your life and base what you need to do on the mistakes that you made. You're not dead yet. So there's always a chance to redeem yourself. There's always a chance to get something going on in your life, dude. I'm glad you find me of such importance that you spend this inordinate amount of time talking about me and doing shows about me. There's more to life than me, dude. Try it, you may like it. Make an effort to make some change in your life, positive change. This way, when you wind up on that steel slab, you at least go by knowing that you faced some of the challenges of life and you made an effort to get a life, to get away from your computer and your editing and your skits and so forth. Because it really is sad, no matter how you look at it, no matter what angle you look at it. It is extraordinarily sad. But he'll continue doing shows until the day that he drops dead. And somehow I don't think that's going to be very long. Because if he really is not that active, well, goes to say right there. Do the math on this one. If you're not active, your longevity is just not going to be there. And one day you're going to be on that steel slab just like Michael Fazio was. Don't have to hear your insults anymore. You'll be dead, gone, and you will be forgotten. At some point, I'm sure, people will get tired of talking about you. So don't be too sure about yourself and your life, dude, because there's certain things in life that you don't have any control about. Keep that in mind. And that's just a fact. There's certain things in my life I'm not going to have control of, but there's certain things I can do with my life that makes it worthwhile, worth living, worth fighting to live for, like, having somebody that really gives a shit about you. That's a start. Maybe a little bit late for this guy, but with his personality, I honestly just don't see that ever happening. And it's not an insult to him, it's just a fact. That if you ain't gotten your shit together by now and you're like in your 60s, I can't imagine you ever getting your shit together. That the rest of your miserable life, that you got to live with yourself. And like I said, this guy always claims to be what you call a godly person, but I don't see anything he's done, certainly on YouTube, that's godly. Again, he gives me and fortifies my reason why I don't believe in organized religion. He just does it for me. Because they're all hypocrites. The majority of extraordinarily religious people talks about God, and if you don't believe in God, you're a terrible person. Well, you're just a terrible person, period. No matter what your beliefs are in organized religion, just because you say you're godly doesn't mean you are. It doesn't mean that if this God exists, that he's going to cut you a break. Because if there is a God, logic would say that you're not a godly person. And you just put on this big facade, rah, rah, everything, rah, rah, America, rah, rah, religion, so forth and so on. Just saying these things doesn't mean that the life you're living measures up to the values that you try to portray on your show as this fixture in the community, this flag-waving American, this godly person that you try to tell people that you are. I don't see anything godly about you. Nothing. It's these people that go to their grave with regrets. People will remember him for who he is. Sure, his daughter or whatever will show up for his funeral, but there might be a few people pissing on your grave too. And quite frankly, Robert, if I lived a lot closer and you croaked, I'd be the first one to unzip my zipper and piss on your grave. I'd be the first in line. But we'd have to get tickets for that. So I think there'd be a pretty big crowd that are going to have to get in line and maybe take a ticket for that event. What would somebody say at your funeral anyway? What good would anybody have to say about this man? I can't think of anything. That he was a hateful cuss? I have a lot of people that would show up at a procession if something happened to me. Right here in the Philippines, there'd be a lot of people, because I know a lot of people, and through my girlfriend, I know a lot of people. There's a lot of people that have respect for me. A lot of people spend time with me. They know what I'm like. We don't know one person here where I live, or in the Philippines, that knows me well, that could ever say a bad word about me, other than a YouTuber. Because there's nothing bad to say about me. They know how generous I am. I treat them with respect. And respect gets you a long way in this life. When you don't show it, you're just not going to get it, Robert. Do you get it? No, you probably never will. Anyway, good luck, Robert, in your endeavors. I hope you find some iota of happiness somewhere and get that crab mentality out of your system. Because you know what? It gets old, and you're getting old, and you only got one life to live. Go out and get laid. This way you have something to talk about. Hey guys, I actually got laid. Because if he had a girlfriend, he'd be displaying her like a fucking museum display. I mean, he'd be so besides himself that somebody actually took an interest in him. No, you're not going to get the young ladies in Florida. This is not Subic Bay. That ain't going to happen. I'm afraid to disappoint you on that one. But you could try. There's always some blue, silver-haired old lady out there with swollen ankles that might take an interest in you. You never know until you try. But until you try, you're not really going to know. So, before you kick off, do something, dude. Show us all. But the challenge, as I said, still goes. Still goes. Put yourself on camera and prove to us that you got what it takes. That you're not ugly and malformed, and you actually have teeth in your mouth, and you're all that you claim you're at. That's my challenge, and I'm going to stick with it. And people heard me on my show today, and I'd like you to challenge him too. Let's see what this guy is really all about. compare apples to oranges, whatever you have to do. Do it. Let's see your teeth. Let's take a gander at those chiclets you got there. I'd love to see that. There's your challenge, Robert. And that's my show. And, Robert. But since the Philippines has become such an integral part of your life, don't you think that maybe one trip to the Philippines is actually warranted at this point, since you're living your life so vicariously through everybody else? What you got there? Papayas? No mangoes?
Mangoes from Masbate.
Oh, mangoes from Masbate.
Yeah, cheap for the kilo.
Oh. What else you buy?
Vegetables, lettuce.
Vegetables. You hear that? Leafy vegetables. That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do.
All vegetables.
All vegetables. Apples. See? That's the kind of shit I eat. Okay, guys, I got to go. Thank you very much. I got to do something that Robert can't do. I'm going to get on my treadmill and put in about 3 miles and do some isometrics. Already had my oatmeal, took my vitamins, had my glutathione IV last night. All's good in my world. How is it in yours, Robert? I mean, really, Robert, how is it in your world? Why don't you show us? Instead of being the slobbering, dribbling coward that refuses to go on camera to show the world and be proud and loud of how your life is, what you look like. Come on, do it. Give you the biggest challenge in your life. Go on camera. I dare you. But you won't. Frank, what's stopping you from putting Popeye? About 15,000 miles. You think I'm going to really put the effort on that? If he was over here in the Philippines, I wouldn't even be talking about it. I mean, there'd be no question. He'd be joining the other guy in a jail cell. There's no question about it. There's no question about that at all. No. This guy talks about killing people, rags on my girlfriend that she has a big family. So what? This is the Philippines. A lot of people have a lot of children out here. The Catholic Church tells them it's okay. The church that you honor, Robert, but you don't abide by the rules and scriptures because you're such a messed up hypocrite. That's how you judge a character. You practice what you preach. And if he can't do that, then he's like a $3 bill. Well, who's to say in his past that he hasn't had any jail time? We don't know that either. We don't know that. See, people are not going to tell the whole story about their life. Shit, my life's like an open book. I got nothing to fucking hide. I never did. And if I did, I wouldn't be on YouTube at all. I'd be running away with my, tail between my legs. And have I ever done that? Not that I can remember. Nothing to hide, folks. Go back to your homes. Nothing to see, folks. In his case, it's literal. There's nothing to see. But we all want to see you, Robert. Quit with the excuses and get your ass on camera. And if you're looking really good for your age, you got a full set of teeth, I'll give you that credit. I'll do a show about it. I will do a show about it and say, you know what? Robert looks a lot better than what I thought in my mind he would look like in current day. I will do a show on it. I guarantee you 100%. I will do a show and say, I correct myself. He really could walk well. He really has friends in the neighborhood he goes out with and goes out for a drink with, goes to dinners with, has barbecues with. and that he's really not that bad looking of a guy for his age. He's kept his age very well and actually has teeth in his mouth. I'll give him that opportunity. And I promise that I will do a show. I will do a show about it, and I will be really honest about what I saw, good or bad, and I won't hold anything back. And if I'm wrong, I will tell you that I'm wrong on my evaluations. But I know I'm not wrong about my evaluations on him, but I'll be wrong about what I think I've been saying that this guy most likely looks like at his age and the lack of luster in his life. Forget about Subic Bay, dude. That's so history. That is so history, man. I live in the present. I don't know where you live. I got a good idea. It's in the past. I live in the present. I look back at my past. Sure, I do all the time. But I'm just looking back. I'm not trying to relive it. That's the difference between me and you. Now, we all move forward in life, and that's the whole idea of life. Move forward. Don't go backwards. That's my show.
That was the longest goodbye I ever heard, man. That was very, very long goodbye. See, he's pissed 'cause I picked on his horse. He's pissed 'cause I told him, his horse has a basketball fucking team. He's pissed. When you drill down on that shit, he gets pissed. Look, I gotta be honest with you guys. I did not start this shit. This shit started 7 or 8 years ago when I went on Quentin Blue. Then after that, everything I said or did was wrong, was this, was that, was fuck you, Popeye. You know, so I'm gonna keep drilling on this motherfucker who's supporting Gilda's basketball team and the head coach, Jimmy. Okay? And I tell you, man, it's fucking sad. He just sat there and reground the same old insults over and over. I mean, 15 times he said, I drive a mobile scooter. You know? He come out with a new one. He thinks, well, maybe I don't have any hair. Another new one, my arthritic finger. Um, Dude, you haven't been laid in 30 years. I mean, like Jesus, he said that 1,000 times. I mean, the guy is redundant. Come up with some new insults, man. I need new insults. But I want to thank all you guys for coming in. That scooter was a great addition. I want to thank you guys for coming in. I'll probably see you Sunday night for my regular show at 8 p.m. Come on out. You'll enjoy it. I'll be having Aloe DeWinter as a guest. And, dude, I'll mirror him anytime I'm around so that you guys could say what you want to say. You gotta be a good sport, man. You gotta be a good sport. And you gotta have a thick skin to do YouTube, man, because people will say shitty things about you. But remember, what we say about Frank is the truth. He owes 60K. It's time for him to leave PI. I don't think he's going to be able to renew that passport. You've seen it where, inappropriate behavior with an 8-year-old child. We presented it all to you guys. And we'll keep doing it, man. And you guys have a good night. And I want to thank you all.